You're watching The Legal Breakdown. So Glenn Donald Trump sought one final, last-ditch effort to delay his upcoming Manhattan criminal trial, which is starting on Monday. Tell us what he tried to do and how that turned out. So he tried again for, I think, what qualifies as the umpteenth time to delay the commencement of his trial, set to begin on April 15th, Monday, and again, he lost. He really is the biggest legal loser. At this point, now, all hope is not lost, because there is one final crack that he's taking, with a 5-judge panel trying to delay the trial, based on his claim that they should really litigate the gag order some more before they get the trial going on Monday, which is certainly to fail. That's up on Monday, and it actually coincides with the first day of jury selection. So I think at this point, Donald Trump has run out of rope. You know, the skids are greased, and I think we're going to see jury selection commence on Monday morning. Now Trump claimed that the jury pool was deluged with what his team called exceptionally prejudicial news coverage of the case. Glenn, is there no acknowledgement that, when you commit crimes out in the open, and news organizations accurately and fairly cover those crimes and that seems, and that if that seems incriminating against you, it's probably because you broke the law and the facts? Just bear that out. And who is it that's generating most of the publicity? Exactly, it's Donald Trump, with his endless stream of posts and statements, and unhinged rants, not to mention calls to violence. We had another one. Donald Trump said that come Monday, all hell will break loose. Really, sounds a lot like stand back and stand by, fight like hell, or you won't have a country anymore. Go to the Capitol and stop the steal. Not to mention things like it will be a bloodbath if I don't get elected. And then Trump has heard to complain. Boy, there's an awful lot of publicity surrounding my criminal cases. What I like, Brian, most about Judge Merchan's recent rejection of Donald Trump's claim that there's so much publicity that his trial should be put off indefinitely. Here are Judge Merchan's words sizing up that argument. He says that Trump's arguments do not align with reality. I mean, you don't often hear that kind of language from a judge, that basically, the arguments that you're making in this absurd attempt to stop from going to trial don't even align with reality. Never mind the law, the procedure or precedents. So, I don't think there is any stopping this trial train. And as I say, I think it will begin come Monday morning. Glenn, when Trump claims of the jury pool is tainted against him, which was his claim here, prosecutors pushed back, saying that surely they could find 12 people in the city of Manhattan, with millions of people who could be fair and impartial. Can you speak on how that whole process works, where you have to find an impartial jury, even in a city that may be homogeneous, be it racially, ethnically, or politically? Here's the thing, Brian, the people who are called to the courthouse for jury duty, they're all going to have some views, perhaps about Donald Trump. They may have a political party affiliation. They may even be activists on the left or on the right. None of that is disqualifying. What is disqualifying is if they go through the jury selection process, and it is an intense process, designed to try to decide whether each and every person who may end up on the jury can truly be fair and impartial, regardless of their politics, their ideology, their preferences, and their aversion. So people may come in and say, listen, I'm a big Trump supporter, I like everything he stands for, and the judge will ask, that's fine. Can you set aside your political views? Can you set aside your feelings about Trump, the former president, or Trump, the presidential candidate, and decide this case, based solely on the evidence that is introduced to you in this courtroom? If you can swear to us under oath that you can do that, well, then you may be qualified to sit as a juror. But if you have any concerns or hesitations, or qualifications, about whether you can truly abide by the oath that you have just taken, then you'll be excused, and maybe you can sit as a juror in another case. And Brian, it's not just the judge that goes through. That's one question, and there's a whole series of questions, designed to make sure that Donald Trump gets a fair trial, and that we the people of New York, most directly in a state court prosecution, also get a fair trial. And it's not just the judge, it is the prosecutors, who will ask a whole series of very probing questions, to make sure they are satisfied that the jury can be fair and impartial. And Donald Trump's lawyers, who and this is not a criticism, or me, just being snarky, when it comes to the job of a defense attorney. The job of a defense attorney is not necessarily to ensure a fair and impartial juror. They're looking for a juror that will be as pro-Trump as can possibly be and still be qualified to sit, so everybody has their own goals and objectives, but I am confident that there will be a fair and impartial jury seated in the case, and Donald Trump and the people of New York will get a fair trial. Glenn, I can hear our viewers screaming into their computer screens right now. What happens if you have somebody who's pro-Trump who says that he, of course, he or she could be a fair juror, when you know all along they're just looking to help Donald Trump? I mean, they'll come out and say like, yeah, I can put aside my allegiance for Donald Trump. But in reality, all they have to do is kind of keep to themselves the fact that they're going to be kind of in the can for the guy, and part of being in a cult is protecting the cult leader. Yeah, boiling that question down to its essence. Can a mole make his way or her way onto the jury? Yeah, the answer is it's possible, but it's very unlikely. Here's why. Remember that this jury is anonymous. As far as the public is concerned, we will not know their names. However, the judge did say, I'm going to have the jurors identified to the prosecution team and to the defense team. What does that mean? I can guarantee you that people will be going scorched earth on their internet searches of these jurors, because if there's somebody who comes in and says, oh, yeah, I'm completely neutral, I don't have any political affiliation or views, I don't feel one way or another about Donald Trump, and then the parties, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys go online, and they see anything that contradicts that sworn assertion under oath by the juror during jury selection, that's all she wrote, those jurors are gone. So could somebody be so stealth-like in the life they've lived that none of that will be anywhere online? Possible, but not likely. Just a quick question. This is really getting into the weeds here, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this question, but if somebody's social media accounts are private, for example, is there a way for prosecutors to be able to get to the other side, to see what their social media is actually like? Not an issue that I've ever had to contend with in court. I tried tons of cases, but I retired from the Department of Justice in 2018. Obviously the internet had been around for quite some time, but that's not an issue I ever had to directly confront. What I would say is I think it's unlikely a judge would, for example, order a potential juror to provide a password, or unlock an account, or give the attorneys, in the case of peek behind what it is that they may have on a private setting on their social media page or account. I think it unlikely. But again, I think it's very hard for people to live one life online, when they actually, I think, are a little bit freer and more comfortable expressing their sentiments, and showing us who they really are, than they might be in a courtroom, if they were trying to deceive everyone and be that mole, hoping to sneak on the jury to, helped exonerate Donald Trump, regardless of the evidence of his guilt. So interesting question. But you're right, I don't have a definitive answer. Let's finish off with this. Last time we spoke in our last episode of the Legal Breakdown, you gave us 97 cents on the dollar, in terms of your certainty that the trial was going to begin on Monday. Where are we at now? We're at about 99 cents, because nothing is ever a certainty, because there is still that last-ditch attempt, Monday in front of a 5-judge panel, to see if they want to bring the trial to a screeching halt during jury selection on Monday, because they really want to take more time to parse through the gag order. Not going to happen, but I can't put the full buck on it. But I'm pretty confident in my 99-cent bet. Alright, well, we'll leave it there. For those watching right now, Glenn and I will be doing exhaustive coverage of this first criminal trial that's going to be starting this Monday, so if you want to follow along, please make sure to subscribe. The links to both of our channels are right here on the screen, so make sure to subscribe to both of them. Glenn's channel over on YouTube and this channel right here, my channel. So with that said, I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and I'm Glad Kirshner. You're watching The Legal Breakdown.